for Law and Justice, Sri Kiran Rijjuji, Brother Justice U.V. Lalit, Sri S.P. Singh Baghela, Minister for State for Law and Justice, Chief Ministers and Ministers from different states, brother and sister judges of the Supreme Court, Sri K.K. Venugopal, Learned Attorney General, Chief Justice of different High Courts, Lieutenant Governors, Judges of High Courts, Chairpersons of the Tribunals, Learned Solicitor General, Additional Solicitor General, Law Officers, Judicial Officers, Media persons, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. I am very happy to be taking part in the 11th Joint Conference of Chief Ministers and Chief Justices for two reasons. Firstly, because we are meeting after 6 long years. Secondly, amongst the public representatives, this is an opportunity for us to learn from your rich experience, knowledge, and wisdom that you have acquired in public life. You are the live link with the people. In your own way, each of one of you is a great opinion builder. Those in public life often come across the grievances of people, including those relating to the judiciary. You are the best placed to enlighten us about the expectations of the people. It is your experience in the field that is going to help us to understand ground realities. I am eagerly looking forward to collaborating with you in identifying and addressing the existing challenges to improve the functioning of the judiciary. All of us are constitutional functionaries, and we abide by the constitutional mandate. The role assigned to each of us needs no reiteration. The Constitution provides for separation of powers between the three organs, clearly outlining their sphere of functioning, delineating their power and responsibilities. It is the harmonious and coordinated functioning among the three organs of the state that has preserved and strengthened the democratic foundation of this great nation over the last 7 decades. While discharging our duties, we all must be mindful of the Lakshmana Rekha. The judiciary would never come in the way of governance if it is in accordance with law. We share your anxiety and concern regarding the welfare of the people. However, at the head of the judiciary, Indian judiciary, I shall attempt to present a broader picture about the judiciary as a whole and highlight the issues that are affecting the system. The 140 crore strong population of the world's largest democracy is bound to test its judiciary. No other constitutional court in the world hears such a wide range of issues in which large number. The situation was foreseen by the first Chief Justice of India, Justice Hiralal Kanya, who had once said, I quote, "This court would be called upon to discharge its duties as perhaps no other court has so far been called upon to do so," unquote. I would like to begin with the identifying few contributing factors for docket explosion in the Indian scenario. If a Tahsildar acts upon a grievance of a farmer regarding land survey or a ration card, the farmer would not think of approaching the court. If a municipal authority or a Gram Panchayat discharges its duty properly, the citizens need not look to courts. If revenue authorities acquire land through due process of law, the courts would not be burdened by land disputes. Apparently, these cases account to 66% of pendency. It is beyond my understanding as to why interdepartmental disputes of the governments or fights between public sector undertakings and the governments end up in courts. If service laws are applied fairly in matters of seniority, pension, and so on, no employee will be compelled to go to courts. It is well known and acknowledged fact that government are the biggest litigants biggest litigants. According to the statistics, it is nearly 50% of the cases. If police investigates properly, fairly, if illegal arrests and custodial torture comes to an end, then no victim will have to approach the courts. Abiding by law and constitution is the key to good governance. However, this is often ignored. The opinions of law departments are not sought in the rush to implement executive decisions. Lack of people, special public prosecutors and standing counsels and the government leaders in courts is one of the major concerns which needs urgent remedy. The decisions of the court are not implemented by governments for years together. The resultant contempt petitions are a new category of burden on the courts, which is a direct result of defiance by governments. Deliberate inaction by the governments, despite judicial pronouncements, are not good for the health of democracy. The judiciary is also confronted with the issues of the executive willingly transferring the burden of decision making to it. Although policy making is not our domain, but if a citizen comes to the court with a prayer to address his grievance, the courts cannot say no. At times, ambiguities in legislation also add to existing legal issues. If the legislature passes a law with clarity of thought, foresight, and with people's welfare in mind, the scope of litigation gets minimized. The legislature is expected to solicit the views of the public and debate the bills clause by clause, threadbare, before enacting a law. When I expressed concern about the passing of laws without much legislative scrutiny on the 15th August last year, I was misunderstood by some quarters. Let there be no doubt, I have the highest regard for the legislature and the elected representatives. I value the role played by each of them in our democracy, right from a ward member to a member of parliament. I was merely pointing towards certain deficiencies. Interestingly, my sentiments of law making in India were shared by none other than the Honorable Lok Sabha Speaker, Sri Om Birla, who reportedly a few weeks back, I quote, "Law should be made after thorough debates and discussions, incorporating the needs of the aspirational sections of the society," unquote. Based on these principles, one can safely summarize that often litigation is triggered because of two major reasons. One is non-performance by various wings of the executive. Second is the legislature not realizing its full potential. I am sure you will all agree with me that these are avoidable burdens on judicial system. On various occasions, I have elaborated on the complexities involved in these issues. I am aware that there are certain concerns with the judicial system also. With regarding to timely delivery of justice and pendency. Pendency is often blamed on the judiciary due to paucity of time. I cannot explain the same in detail now. But a keen look at the websites of the courts will give you an idea about the huge workload on judges. The number of cases filed and disposed on each day is unimaginable. The rising number of frivolous litigations in an area of concern. For example, the well-meaning concept of public interest litigation is at times turning into personal interest litigation. No doubt, PIL has served a lot of public interest. However, it is sometimes being misused to stall projects or pressurize public authorities. These days, PIL has become a tool for those who want to settle scores or corporate rivalry. Realizing the potential for misuse, courts are now highly conscious in the entertaining of the same. This conference is an occasion for us to introspect and contemplate solutions. I have been a strong proponent of Indianization of the justice delivery system. By Indianization, I mean increasing accessibility by molding the system to suit the needs and sensibilities of the Indian population. It is a multi-dimensional concept. It calls for inclusivity, providing access to justice, removal of language barriers, reforms in practice and procedure, development of infrastructure, filling up of vacancies, augmenting the strength of the judiciary, and so on. I am of the firm belief that judicial infrastructure, both in terms of personal and physical infrastructure, needs urgent attention. With the expanding economy and growth in population, the caseload is rising alarmingly. There is severe gap between the existing infrastructure and the projected justice needs of the people. The environment of some courts, in some district courts, is such even lady advocates feel apprehensive about entering courtrooms, let alone female clients. Courts, being temples of justice, should be welcoming and carry the requisite dignity and aura. To standardize and improve judicial infrastructure, I have been focusing on the creation of a special purpose vehicles, namely National Judicial Infrastructure Authority and the State Judicial Infrastructure Authorities in the lines of NALSA and SALSA. Let me make it very clear, this is not about funds. I must acknowledge that the Union government has been making reasonably budgetary allocations through its centrally sponsored schemes for this purpose. The data since the inception of the scheme since 1993 to 94 suggests that allocated funds remain underutilized due to procedural difficulties. The time has come to move on from the present ad hoc committees to more streamlined, accountable, and organized structure. I want to dispel apprehensions emerging from certain sections on this proposal. The proposed authorities are not aimed at usurping the powers of any government. The proposed authorities will have representation from all the stakeholders. It must, however, be acknowledged that it is the judiciary which understands best its own needs and requirements. Hence, the present proposal aims to bring infrastructure development under the supervision of special purpose vehicles to be headed by the respective chief justices and involve the representatives of central and state governments. Another important factor in promoting access to justice is filling up of the vacancies, increasing and sanction strength of judges. Yesterday, at the Supreme Court Bar Association event, the learned Attorney General Sri K.K. Venugopal also highlighted the issue of vacancies and pendency, expressing concern about the large number of vacancies at different levels in the judiciary. He said, I quote, "How do you expect that we would be able to even make a dent in the pendency of cases?" Unquote. As on today, out of 1,104 sanctioned posts of High Court judges, there are 388 vacancies. From day one, it has been my endeavor to fill up judicial vacancies. We have made 180 recommendations for appointing in various courts during the last 1 year. Out of this, 126 appointments has been made. I thank the Government of India for clearing the names. However, 50 proposals are still waiting for approval. The High Courts have sent 100 names, which is yet to reach us. The data reveals the earnest efforts being made by the judiciary to fill the vacancies. I would like to urge the Honorable Chief Ministers to extend wholehearted cooperation to the Chief Justices in their endeavor to strengthen the district judiciary. When we last met in 2016, the sanction strength of judicial officers in the country was 20,811. Now it is 24,112, which is an increase of 16% in 6 years. On the other hand, in the corresponding period, pendency in district courts have gone up 2 crores 65 lakhs to 4 crores 11 lakhs, which is an increase 54.64%. This data shows how inadequate the increase in the sanction strength is. Unless the foundation is strong, the structure cannot be sustained. Please be generous in creating more posts and filling the vacancies so that our judge population ratio is comparable to advanced democracies. As for sanction strength, we have just around 20 judges for 10 lakh population, which is alarming. Another important aspect of Indianization is inclusivity. The judiciary, as well as every other institution of our democracy, must mirror the social and geographical diversity of the country. I am receiving many representations for introducing local languages in the proceedings before the High Court. I think the time has come now to revisit the demand and take to its logical conclusion. The practice of law before constitutional court should be based on one's intelligence and understanding of law and not mere proficiency in language. The concept of access to justice in India is much broader than simply providing lawyers for representation before courts. I am proud to state that India has one of the best free legal aid services in the entire world. Under the able leadership of Brothers Justice Lalit, legal services authorities are doing tremendous job. I thank the government of India and other state governments providing active support in this area. Brother Justice Kanvilkar is contributing immensely, strengthening the Supreme Court legal service by deploying modern technology. Brother Justice Chandrachud is adding huge value to the e-courts project. His efforts will ultimately lead to much needed modernization of the Indian judiciary. Brother Justice L. Nageswara heading a committee of artificial intelligence, whose work I believe is going to revolutionize the way the judiciary functions. I thank each one of them. Honorable Chief Ministers and Chief Justices, all that I can say is that it is the active collaboration based on our collective wisdom that can take us forward. Please remember, it is only the judicial process that is adversarial, not the judges or their judgments. We are merely discharging our constitutionally assigned role. Judgments are meant for delivering justice and should be seen as such. Let us work together for fulfilling the constitutional mandate. As Aristotle once said, law should govern and those in power should be servants of the law. I am sure the thoughts and concerns that you are going to share in this conference today will be placed before the government of India. I am confident that the points which are actionable at the level of government of India will receive deserving attention. I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable President of India, Sri Ramnath Kovindji, who always been a pillar of support for us. Being an accomplished lawyer himself, he has a practical understanding of the Indian legal system and has always been extremely supportive for all our endeavors. It was at his behest that the project of translating Supreme Court judgments to Indian languages was initiated. He graciously took out time to interact with us yesterday night over a dinner. We are grateful for the same. I am very happy that the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has taken out time for his busy schedule to share his thoughts on this occasion. He had readily agreed to lend his support to the legal awareness mission in the interest of increasing accessibility. I thank him for his continued support to the judiciary. My dear friend, Mr. Rijuji deserves special thanks, promptly responding to my suggestion to bring together the Chief Ministers and the Chief Justice for this event. I am very happy to work with him, such a young and energetic law minister who is keen on improving the legal system in India. I would like to thank my brother and sister judges of the Supreme Court who have given their full support to this event. I would like to specially thank Justice Lalit, Justice Kanvilkar, who spared no efforts to make this event a grand success. My best wishes to all the Chief Ministers, Lieutenant Governors, and the Chief Justices who have gathered here. I thank them for traveling to the national capital despite the short notice and their busy schedules. Your continued support is highly appreciated. I would like to thank the Secretary General, the Registrars of the Supreme Court and other staff, Secretary of Ministry of Law and Justice, and other officials of the ministry who work day and night to ensure the success of this event. I am sure all your efforts will bear fruit, and I wish the conference a great success. I will be failing my duty if I do not recall the invaluable services rendered by all in the most tiring times of the pandemic to keep the flag of the judiciary flying high. I offer my sincere condolences to the families of those who left us during this period. Before I end, I would like to quote a few words of Mahatma Gandhi ji. I quote, "Man becomes great exactly in the degree in which he works for the welfare of his fellow men," unquote. It is in this spirit that we must strive to achieve the highest degree of greatness for our institutions. This is the befitting tribute that we can pay to our freedom fighters in these 75 years of the independence. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.